My name's Jeff Makarevich, and welcome to Wine and Dine with Jeff, where I'll make a healthy dinner from start to finish and pair it with wines from around the world. Let's fill up that glass.
Hi, I'm Jeff Makarevich, and welcome to Wine and Dine with Jeff. Today, we're doing chicken stroganoff. You say, what? Where's the beef, right? Well, you know I'm the king of making a chicken 100 different ways. You are gonna fall in love with this chicken stroganoff. And I'm pairing it with this Seghesio Zin. Ooh, you're gonna love that one also. We'll talk more about that later. Let's show you really quickly what's inside this. I'm using some chicken thighs here, and with that some baby bellas, little fresh thyme, shallot, garlic, a little beef stock. Yes, beef stock instead of chicken stock for that extra richness. And some creme fraiche, a little dried oregano, and some butter. Oh yes, this is going to be amazing. You can put it over anything you want. Pasta, rice, and I'll give you some other options. Let's get started. Let's get our chicken thighs ready. I'm putting some salt on them right now. And I'm using chicken thighs because I want that extra richness that, you know, you might miss with like chicken breast. And on top of that, you're going to have some cracked black pepper going on that. Because I've done this a few different ways. If you don't like chicken thighs, obviously you can use the chicken breasts. And some dried oregano. Dried because we're going to be giving a sear on these and frying them up. If you use fresh, it's going to burn in the oil. So a little bit of dried oregano on top, and let's get some olive oil heated up in that pan. The olive oil is ready for us. Let's get the chicken into the pan. That's what you want to hear, that nice sizzle. Get that chicken into that pan. And you know, as soon as you put the chicken into the pan, you do not want to touch it. Just let it go because it will seize up right away because of the hot oil. There we go. Nestle that one in, and just the perfect amount of room for all these chicken thighs. Now, let that go. You want that go to 4 to 5 minutes on one side to get a nice golden brown color. I'll put a little salt and pepper on this side, and then we'll flip it over for about 3 minutes. Then we'll remove it from the pan. It might not be fully cooked through, but we are going to finish it off in this decadent, delicious sauce. So we'll let that go. It's been 5 minutes. Let's give these chicken thighs a turn over. Nice. Now these are going to finish cooking in the sauce, so we're going to let these go for about 3 minutes on this side, and then we'll remove them from the pan. While our chicken thighs are finishing up, let's do these baby bellas. Now a tip on cleaning: you never wash baby bellas, or any mushrooms I should say. Just take a damp cloth and go like this to remove any excess dirt. Most of the mushrooms nowadays come in very, very clean though. And I like using big, thick cuts on these. I want to see my mushrooms in the sauce. So I like to use about 3 nice, big, huge cuts on these. So let me finish up these baby bellas. I just pulled the chicken thighs out, and they're right in back of me there. If you need a little more oil in the pan, put a little splash more of olive oil because these will need it. The pan is on a medium-high heat right now, and you want to put these baby bellas in. We want to get some good color on these. These will go for a good 8 minutes to get some good color on them. Tip on when you're working with mushrooms here. You don't want to salt them right away. Salt will extract the moisture, so do not salt your mushrooms until they are completely browned. So we'll let them brown up, and I'll bring you back. Look at the great color we have on those baby bellas. Now what we want to do to the same hot pan, this is the time where you want some butter, right? So just add the butter to that hot pan with the mushrooms. Just everything together is perfectly fine at this point in time. Now look at that. Now what you're going to do is add your shallots first. So the shallots are going in first, but they're not going to go for that long before we toss in our garlic. So you just want to stir your shallots around in that sauce and the butter. Oh, yes. And remember, we did not salt, so you definitely want to give this a nice little pinch of salt in there. All depends, obviously, in your butter, if you're using salt in your butter or not. And a little fresh cracked black pepper. And we are done with those shallots. Already, see, this is on a medium-high heat. Now we're just going to touch this down. There we go. I want to turn it down to a medium. And we are going to add our sliced garlic to that. And we're just going to do a couple turns with the garlic. Not a lot, because the garlic will also cook in the sauce, but we just don't want it to burn, obviously. So look at this. I wish you could smell this. This is what you call rich and decadent with the butter. Oh, yes, this is lovely. Now what you want to do, because we want to be able to thicken up the sauce. So everything is nice and translucent now. The shallot already has turned that translucent color. It's cooked through. The garlic, I can smell the fragrance already. So now we're just going to put in some flour, and we want to cook this out for 2 minutes. And when people say, like, how long do I cook the flour out? This is my tip. When it smells like the shell of an apple pie, when that shell, how it roasts in the oven with the butter and everything, when it smells like that, your flour's cooked out. So let me just cook this out, and then I'll bring you back. Stroganoff with a little bit of egg pappardelle pasta, which I think is going to go fantastic with it. Now our flour has cooked out. Now to that, we are going to add in that delicious, rich beef stock. So the beef stock is going in. Now what you want to do, I have the burner up to a medium-high heat. You want to scrape the bottom of the pan here. So just give a little scrape here, let the bottom of the pan, and the flour will start to work with the actual beef stock and start to thicken it up. But we're not finished yet. We're definitely not finished. This is a stroganoff, right? So we want that creamy aspect. But before we put that in, we just want a touch of a Grey Poupon going in, which is a Dijon mustard. Excuse me on that, and excuse me for getting some on my fingers. And now, this is what I put in instead of sour cream, and I'll give you the reason why. I put in creme fraiche. I know everybody thinks sour cream. Now, this is the difference between creme fraiche and sour cream while I work this through to let you know. Creme fraiche has a higher fat consistency to it, so you can bring this up to a simmer or even a boil, and the milk solids will not separate, meaning that your sauce will not break and fall apart. And that's what I want to do, because now I want to simmer this chicken in here at least a few more minutes, not only to cook it all the way through, to soften it up, to give it, a little, so it's not chewy when you bite into it. So it's like you're biting into a nice piece of beef, very tender. Now, we put the actual fresh thyme from the garden is going in. That is key also, because the thyme just works perfectly with the actual baby bellas and the mushrooms. Wow. This already is smelling so good. Now, what we want to do is we want to nestle our chicken back in there. So the chicken is going back in. As it's coming back up to a simmer, you see the sauce is slowly starting to bubble. And what do I say about that down there? Liquid gold. You always make sure and add your liquid gold back in. That is the chicken juice that is so very, very, very tasty. So our chicken thighs are going back in. Okay, everything is in there. Now this is going to come up to a simmer. Now it's already thickening up, as you can see. Wow, that looks amazing. Now we're just going to let that thicken up. I'll let that simmer for about a good 5 minutes. I'm going to back it down once I have this amount of boil to it, which I do. I'm going to back it down, and our pasta should be almost finished. But if you don't want to use pasta, let me back it down now. If you don't want to use pasta, you can use rice. I've done roasted cauliflower in the oven and riced it. And if you're watching your carbs, this poured over roasted riced cauliflower is amazing. So I can't wait to dig into that. While our chicken stroganoff finishes cooking, let's talk really quickly about the wine. It is a Seghesio Zinfandel. A lot of you might know this one. Let me give it, and it's from Sonoma. Right off the bat, I'm getting blackberries with a little bit of cedar and spiced vanilla. Let me give it a taste. Wow. I'm getting blueberries with black currants and a little bit of plum. This is fantastic. Zin goes so well with mushrooms and earthy stuff like mushrooms. This pairs up perfectly with it. You're going to love this combination. It's finally time to dig in, but before I do, I would first like to thank all my subscribers. And if you're not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my recipes. And don't forget to like and share and ring that bell, because I have a new recipe every Tuesday and that notifies you. So let's do this. I'm ready to dig in here. Wow, I was sampling this sauce and oh my God, it is so good. Okay, a little bit of chicken, little mushroom. Come on, gotta have a noodle too, right? Let's get in there. Let me swirl around with a giant noodle. Of course, now that I'm on camera, I'm gonna have the hardest time getting a noodle, right? Well, I'm gonna do this first. Wow. Wow. That noodle is gonna fight me, I'm telling you. Look at this. Okay, I'm gonna have to say thanks for stopping by Wine and Dine with Jeff, and we'll see you next week, because I'm gonna put this in my mouth.